At the Memorial Pool, which is part of the naval section of the military cemetery on Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, a ceremony took place this month to honor the first group of 23 seafaring members of Hagana who set out at the beginning of World War II on a dangerous Allied naval mission and never returned. The distinguished gathering who came to pay their tribute included the families of those who fell. Later in the day, 6,000 veterans of Palmah marched through the streets of the capital. Palmah were the pioneer fighters of Hagana, the Jewish self-defense movement in the years before the establishment of the state and forerunner of the Army of Israel. These fields of ripe tomatoes, planted and now picked by new immigrants, show what happens when water and the loving labor of the newcomers to Israel are brought to what was the former desert of the northern Negev. Israel, despite its rapidly expanding population through immigration, is now completely self-sufficient in vegetable production. Not far away, near Beer Sheva, the old world meets the new, as Bedouin tribes, their wanderings over, have been given land by the government on which to settle and instructors by the Ministry of Agriculture. They have learnt how to use 20th century mechanical harvesters, which they now handle with the same confident proficiency with which they once used sickle and scythe. With the approach of the summer heat comes the seasonal sheep shearing. They remove the heavy winter coats of the sheep and provide Israel textile factories with raw material. It is a colorful occasion for settlements and villages throughout the country. Shermen is a peaceful pastoral village of children not far from Tel Aviv. Here, youngsters brought to Israel under Youth Aliyah, the special children's immigration scheme of the Jewish Agency, live in a youth society. They receive a general education and special training in agriculture to fit them as Israel's future farmers. Head of Ben Shermen is one of the finest educators in the country, Dr. Lehman, surrounded by scientific instruments given by the late Professor Einstein, after whom the new wing of the school has been named. It was dedicated on the day of Chag HaBikurim, the harvest festival. The children moved in procession, garlands on their heads, their baskets bearing the first fruits. In villages and settlements all over the land, children were at the center of the harvest celebrations. To Meron in Galilee, on the festival of Lag BaOmer, come Hasidim to pray at the tomb of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, fighter for freedom against the Romans, Talmudic scholar, and father of the mystic Kabbalists. The Hasidim combine gaiety with piety and mysticism, and on this day, which is also the anniversary of the day when they believe Rabbi Shimon to have entered the divine presence, songs of praise and Hasidic dances are a feature of the ceremonies. Memorial candles are lit near the tomb, and the bonfires are kept going all through the night. This is also a popular and traditional day to get married, and here, in this pioneer settlement on the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee, the young folk, their faces set towards the future, have a multiple wedding ceremony for 4 happy couples. Inspecting one of the finest textile factories near Tel Aviv, Meshi Zaks, is Mr. Israel Rogozin, the American textile industrialist who is about to set up a multi-million-dollar rayon plant in Israel which will supply factories like this with raw material in addition to the export market. In one of the 2 tire plants in Israel, he watches the process in which imported rayon is used with the rubber for the manufacture of tires. When he starts production, his locally made rayon will be used by the local plants. Ashdod Yam on the Mediterranean coast, south of Tel Aviv, is the site chosen by Mr. Rogozin to establish his important plant. The new concert hall in Tel Aviv, which will seat 3,000, is rapidly nearing completion. The initiator of this project, Mr. Frederick Mann, came with violinist Isaac Stern to test the acoustics of the new auditorium. Isaac Stern will be one of the soloists at the gala opening concert in October. A distinguished Jerusalem audience, including members of the diplomatic and consular corps and senior members of the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, gathered in the capital this month to hear a concert by the outstanding young Uruguayan pianist, Luis Bache Ibanez. The concert was under the auspices of the Central Institute for Cultural Relations between Israel and Ibero-America. Mr. Ibanez is the son of the former president of Uruguay. This is a passing out parade of girls who have just completed their non-commissioned officers course. Unmarried women in Israel enter the army at the age of 18 for 2 years of national service. At the end of the course, they receive their coveted green lanyard, prized token of NCO graduates. At another army camp this month, the army team that came first in the march to Jerusalem just before the festival of Passover are on parade to receive the much sought-after winning cup at the hands of the Chief of Staff, General Moshe Dayan. Haifa is Israel's largest port and the center of the country's heavy industry. It is here on Mount Carmel, overlooking Haifa Bay, that the Technion, Israel's technical institute, is erecting its new campus to train Israel's engineers, architects, and technicians. The electronics department is the latest addition, donated by Mr. Fishback of the United States. This electronic brain will be used to train Israel physicists in the latest branch of science. Part of the equipment has been secured from research institutions abroad. A part of it has been made locally. Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion arrives with the head of the Technion, General Dory, to join Mr. and Mrs. Fishback at the ceremonial opening. Later, at the conferment of honorary degrees on distinguished scientists, the Prime Minister spoke of the importance of combining the teachings of the great Hebrew prophets with the study of modern science. At the Tadmor Hotel at Herzliya on the Mediterranean, models display the new fashions in beachwear that will be worn this year at the pools and beaches of Israel by the tens of thousands who delight in sun, sand, and sea. Israel sports and beachwear, designed by local fashion experts, are finding an increasing market abroad and becoming an important item of Israel's export trade. The swimming season is well underway, and the newly opened pool in Tel Aviv is already a great attraction for the expert swimmer and for the toddlers who can paddle in the shallow end. Miss Edna Bornstein, who is leaving in a few days to attempt to swim the English Channel, uses this open-air pool to relax from her strenuous daily training. The manufacture of olive oil from the groves of Israel is one of the most ancient crafts of this ancient land. Today, the product of these fruitful trees are brought to modern factories who turn out pure olive oil with the latest machinery. The demand for Israel olive oil from Africa and Asia is heavy, and today they can be supplied directly through the southern port of Eilat. 20-ton trucks bring the olive oil south through the Negev to the boom port city at the head of the Red Sea.